In April 2024, the authors behind On a Sea of Glass and Recreating Titanic and Her Sisters embarked on an audacious plan of action for the 112th anniversary of the Titanic disaster. Titanic Anniversary live streams, where the events of that night are played out in video form while historians or researchers provide real-time commentary and answer questions from the audience live and in real time, have become a regular feature of Titanic traditions in recent years. For 2024, podcaster L.A. Reid Beatles and the team at the Titanic Museum in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, had set up a weekend full of special events. On Saturday, April 13th, there was a live panel discussion that included the three authors of On a Sea of Glass and Recreating Titanic and Her Sisters, as well as Stephen Schwenkert, who was behind the documentary The Six, for which James Cameron served as executive producer. The Six told the stories of some of Titanic's Chinese passengers. This event was broadcast live on social media. That day also happened to be the very first time that all three co-authors of On a Sea of Glass, Tad Fitch, myself, and Bill Wormstead, were all in the same location at the same time. Prior to that, no more than two of us had ever been together, and otherwise we had always messaged online, through email, or in meetings on Zoom. But there we were, together at last. It really was a remarkable moment. After the panel event, we had a book signing in the museum gift shop for our two books. On Sunday evening, however, things really kicked into high gear. As soon as the museum closed, senior management worked with us to get us set up for our live stream. We chose the foot of the grand staircase to be our broadcast location. Then we were off to do a live pre-show event, touring the museum with our hosts so that people who couldn't see where we were that evening during the later live stream could get a feel for the location and appreciate the museum.
From the scene, was this the one picked up by the Minion?
That I'm not sure.
But it was recovered from the scene of the disaster.
Yes.
All these pieces are original fragments from the grand staircase, presumably the aft grand staircase, because they were floating debris that was recovered after the sinking in the days and weeks after that. And it really is a testament to the violence of the breakup of the ship that it shredded this material, but you could still see the beauty of the carvings and how intricate those were. And it's just kind of a very interesting reminder.
And I think it's neat that he didn't make anything from the wood, because a lot of people, when they discovered the wood, they made things from them, which I don't blame them. Wood was expensive.
Cribbage boards and cabinets.
Yeah. These are the original pieces of Titanic from the aft grand staircase. I mean, we are surrounded by literal artifacts from the ship. It's a wonderful thing.
That afternoon, my phone had blown up with a series of messages from our longtime collaborator Michael Poirier. He had found what he was referring to as a Titanic Holy Grail. 3 photos of Titanic that he'd never seen before. He asked us if we had seen them. We had to admit that although one was similar to one that had been published before, none of them were familiar to us. He suggested that we air the photos during our live stream, as long as we watermarked them so that they couldn't be right-clicked and swiped before he could do an article about the discovery in Voyage magazine, the quarterly journal of the Titanic International Society. We agreed that this was more than fair, and we gleefully unveiled the photos during our show for the public to see. The discovery turned the Titanic community on its ear. Finding one new authentic Titanic photograph is usually cause for celebration. But finding and releasing 3 on the anniversary in front of thousands of viewers was an amazing way to help commemorate the event. We also had the distinct pleasure of airing them for the general public for the first time live with artist and Titanic visual historian Ken Marshall on our panel. We got to experience his reaction to the discovery in real time. We got to hear the excitement in his voice, and it proved to be infectious to all of us on the panel. We truly had a wonderful time that evening. Let's take a look at the photographs again now. First of all, since all 3 photographs are from print copy rather than glass plate negatives, their quality is unfortunately not as high as all of us would like. For this presentation, we've digitally restored the images, cleaning them of dust spots and scratches, and trying to help the original images shine as best as the source material will allow. For me, accustomed to doing these live stream broadcasts from my home office, broadcasting from a replica of Titanic's grand staircase in a museum filled with Titanic artifacts and information certainly added a level of realism to our broadcast. My wife, Tess, along with Tad, Bill, and I, were all sitting there, and it in many ways began to feel as if we really were aboard the liner. The acoustics of the room were remarkable, with a decided echo that would have been very similar to the way Titanic's entrance sounded and felt. This was where so many had gathered after the collision to find out what had happened. This was where Thomas Andrews was seen rushing up the steps, taking them 3 at a time with a look of terror on his face as he hurried to give Captain Smith the bad news that Titanic was sinking. This was where Titanic's heroic band had played during the evacuation. It was particularly bizarre to be sitting in that room as we watched the animation video showing the very space where we were sitting submerging in the final minutes of the disaster. Personally, I half expected to see a rush of icy water coming in around us. As we approach April 14th, 2025, many of those familiar with our work, either in our books On a Sea of Glass and Recreating Titanic and Her Sisters, or on our channel here at the Steam and Splendor Network and so forth, may wonder what we have in store for this year. It's a good question. While we aren't ready to reveal all the details about our upcoming events for the 113th anniversary, we can share a few things. For starters, we will be having 2 events, not just one. In the afternoon of April 14th, 2025, we will be broadcasting a live stream performance of the White Star Line Quintet from the new Titanic Museum exhibit in Rosenheim, Germany. They will be performing with the actual piano from Titanic's sister ship Olympic, the very instrument that our team at the RMS Olympic Steinway Association is attempting to raise the funds to purchase, preserve, and share with the public in museum exhibits on either side of the Atlantic. That particular live stream will be held on the Steam and Splendor Network. Later that evening at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we will be holding our traditional live stream on YouTube channel Part-Time Explorer. Our panel of guests is set to include Don Lynch, Ken Marshall, and Mark Churnside, 3 of the preeminent Titanic and maritime historians in the world. What will we experience on this 113th anniversary of the Titanic disaster? Tune in and find out. special thank you to our supporters on Patreon: Nikki Chan92, Evan Fleming, Lucas Sidlowski, Bluebird Nut, Mark Gegenheimer, Martin Cahill, Maximilian Metcalf, Rachel Warner Sanchez, and Snow Monkey.